Hey, basic and intermediate algebra class. Here's a video continuing our lesson of 3.2. We were talking about using percentages within word problems. So remember that your tip is a percent of the meal cost. So let's do this first problem. Sierra and her sister enjoyed a dinner in a restaurant and the bill was $81.50. If she wants to leave an 18% of the total bill as her tip, how much should she leave? So remember, the first thing we do, we've read the problem completely. The next thing we do is we figure out what are we trying to find. In this case, we want to find the tip. And let's put a letter to it. Let's just call it X. And so going back to our remember our tip, which we're calling X, is our percentage, in this case 18% of the meal cost, and the meal cost is $81.50. Okay, so there's a couple of things, remember, that we have to do in order to deal with percentages, and that is change our percent into a decimal, so that becomes a 0.18. The word of means multiply, and so we're going to multiply this times our 81.50. Throwing that calculation into our calculator, we find that X is 1467. And of course, at the end, I want you to put a unit with it. And so our unit for this one should be dollars. So we wanted to find the tip. The tip is 1467. And while we can do that with tips is a good one. There's lots of situations in which you use percentages. So let's look at this next problem. One serving of wheat square cereal has 7 grams of fiber, which is 28% of the recommended daily amount. What is the total recommended daily amount of fiber? So we've read the problem completely. The next thing we want to do is figure out what do we want to find. So in this case, we want the daily amount, or recommended daily amount. We're going to put a letter to it. Let's go ahead and call it X. And then we've got some information in here, so let's see if we can find. We've got fiber. I'm going to take out this which. Fiber is 28 of the recommended daily amount. So we've got 7 grams is, remember is our equal sign, 28% of daily amount. Well, we don't know what the daily amount is, so we're going to call that X. So again, we never deal with percentages in its percent form. So let's change this into its decimal form. So we've got 7 equals 0.28. The word of means multiply X. So now we just have to solve for X. So what's the step we're going to need to solve for X? We're going to have to divide by that 0.28. Once we throw that into our calculator, we see that X is 25. So remember, the last step that I'm going to want you to do is to put a unit on here. And so X represents what? Daily amount of fiber, and we're talking in grams. So my answer is going to be 25 grams. Okay, let's try another one of those. Veronica is planning to make muffins from a mix. The package says that each muffin will be 230 calories and 60 calories will be from fat. What percent of the total calories is from fat? Okay, so we've read the problem completely. Next thing, we have to figure out what is it that we want to find. And so here it says, well, what's our percent? So we're trying to find our percent. We're going to put a letter to it. Let's call X. And let's read this really closely. So what percent, so we don't know the percent, of total calories. Do we know what the total calories is? Okay, what percent, we don't know that one, of is multiply. Total calories, do we know the total calories? We do. Total calories is 230. Is, which is our equal sign, from fat. And how many calories from fat? 60 calories from fat. Okay, so the next step is we now have our equation. We can solve it. Since x is being multiplied by 230, we have to do the opposite. So we're going to divide by 230. What you do on one side, you have to do on the other. And once we've thrown that into our calculator, we see that x is 0.2608, say 7, rounding it to 7. Is there a specific number of decimal places? Not really. But knowing that, what are we trying to find? We're trying to find the percent. Can I just throw a percent sign here? No, this is our decimal form. So if we wanted to talk about the actual percent, remember we'd have to move our decimal place back 2 places. So this would be a 26 point, let's round it at that point, 26.1%. Okay. So the other thing you can do with percentages that we do quite a bit is discounts and sale prices. And this is something that I really wanted to include because it is something that you will hit every day, or you can hit, in your everyday life. And so there are 2 things you have to really pay attention to. One is if you take the percent of the original price, then that gives you your discount. And then if you take that discount and subtract it from the original price, so original price minus that discount gives you your sale price. So let's look at a couple of problems. I just have a couple more problems here. And it says, find the amount of the discount and then also the sale price. So finding the discount first. So we're finding the discount first. It said Sergio bought a belt that was discounted 40% from an original price. So percent of the original price. And the original price is $29. So we're going to do 40%. We'll make that a D. 40% of the original price, which is $29. And that should give me my discount. So again, we need to change this into the decimal form. 0.4 or 0.40, those are the same thing, times 29. And that should give me my discount. Throwing that into our calculator, we get 11.6, but since we're talking about money, money always has 2 decimal places, so let's add a 0 there. So my discount would be $11.60. And then part B says, so this was part A, part B says, well, what's our sale price then? How much are we actually going to pay? And so we're going to use this formula over here that says we're going to take our original price of $29 and we're going to subtract the discount that we just found, the $11.60. And that'll get us our sale price. And so for us, that would be, what, $17.40 is now going to be our sale price. Okay, let's do one last example. Find the amount of discount and the discount rate. So this one's a little different. Okay, Nick bought a multi-room air conditioner at a sale price of $340, and the original price of the air conditioner was $400. So in this case, since we know the sale price was $340, and we know the original price was $400. What is it that we're trying to find in part A? And so what is our formula that has sale price, original price, and discount? Remember, so it says the original price minus the discount is the sale price. So original price is $400. We don't know what the discount is. It has to equal the sale price of $340. Now we just need to solve this. So we're going to subtract 400 from both sides. Notice when we get subtract 400, we now get a negative D is a negative 60. So D is not quite by itself. So we're going to divide by a negative 1. And that makes our discount $60, which makes sense. We can see that. The part B of this says, what's the discount rate? So in this case, we're doing percent of the original equals, running out of room, discount. So we don't know what that percent is. I'm going to leave it as X. So that's going to be my X times my original was $400. And I have to equal that $60 discount that we just figured out. That's my times. It's looking funky. So in order to solve this, since this is currently being multiplied, we divide by 400. What you do on one side, you have to do on the other. And you would get X is 0.15. But again, we like showing percents as this is the decimal form, and we like showing it in percent form. So that would make it 15%. I hope those examples were helpful. Let me know if you have more questions.